Welcome, everyone. This session focuses on how we, as mentors, can help teachers strengthen their content instruction. So, yes, we are officially transitioning to content instruction. So, you'll notice that this one is significantly different than the classroom management one. The portfolio itself is the same format. However, our focus, of course, is going to be on content instruction. What we mean by that is how effectively we as teachers plan, deliver, and assess lessons so that students master key knowledge and skills. So, this training isn't about, as we mentioned before, classroom management or routines. It's about improving the quality of what and how the content is taught. We're going to connect this to the Louisiana Educator Rubric and or the Louisiana Aspiring Educator Rubric. So just like we did for the previous portfolio, those are our two pieces that we're connecting to. And of course, we're using the Louisiana Mentoring to Improve Content Instruction Certification Framework as our guide. So my goal for this short session is to help us think deeply about what strong content instruction looks like, what to look for when observing a mentee, and how to use the mentoring cycle to support meaningful growth. Our goal is to build a shared understanding of what high quality content instruction looks like and how to coach toward it effectively. So, when we think about what drives student success, it really comes down to two things: the teacher's depth of content knowledge and their ability to translate that knowledge into effective instruction. As mentors, we have a unique opportunity to help mentees see beyond just covering material or getting through the content or keeping to the pacing guide. We need to help them understand how to engage students with content so that learning sticks. Strong content instruction also supports equity. When teaching is clear, rigorous, and responsive, all students, regardless of their background, readiness levels, get access to grade level learning and opportunities to succeed. So when we strengthen content instruction, we're not just improving lessons, we're impacting student access and ultimately student achievement. So when we are coaching our mentees, what we need to always constantly be having conversations about is about the impact on students. How did this instructional choice affect student outcomes? Content instruction isn't just about presenting information or getting through the curriculum. It's about helping students make meaning from the content and transfer what they've learned to new contexts. Effective content instruction is built on three main ideas. It's aligned with the standards and the learning goal. It's interactive, meaning students are engaged in questioning, in reasoning, in discussion. And it's responsive, with teachers using feedback and checks for understanding to guide next steps. When we mentor teachers, these are the elements that we're looking for. Is the instruction clear, rigorous, and designed for student thinking? If not, that's where our coaching comes in. Let's take a closer look at what strong content instruction includes. First, learning goals must be clear and directly tied to standards. Students should always know what they're learning and why. Second, purposeful questioning drives deeper understanding. Questions should move students beyond recall toward explanation, reasoning, and application. Third, checking for understanding is essential. It tells the teacher whether students are actually getting it. This allows the teacher to adjust instruction in real time. Fourth, strong instruction gets students actively engaged. They should be doing the cognitive work, discussing, analyzing, creating, not just listening passively. Finally, effective teachers connect content to what students already know and, of course, to those meaningful real world contexts. This builds meaning and motivation. As mentors, these are the things we're watching for during observations, and these are the things that we are discussing with our mentees during those feedback conversations. So this slide shows how we, as mentors, can connect what we see during an observation to what it means and what we can do about it. The first column is the observed teaching practice. What's happening in the classroom? It's neutral and factual. It's not judgmental. Remember, we're basing it on things that we can observe, we can measure. We're not bringing bias in. So all of the things that we talked about in module 1 of this course, you want to keep that in mind for this as well. The second column shows student impact, how that teaching behavior affects learning. How did the instructional choices impact student achievement? This helps focus the conversation on outcomes rather than on teacher performance. The third column connects that practice to a specific part of the rubric. And so notice that I kept these in this portion based on topics that you're going to see on the rubric, because depending on if you're using the LER or the LAER, these might look a little bit different, but the topics will be the same. So our feedback needs to be grounded in this shared professional language of this evaluation tool. And finally, we end with a coaching strategy, what we can do next. So, for example, if I observe a teacher asking only recall questions, I might help them use Webb's depth of knowledge chart to plan more scaffolded, higher order questions for their next lesson. And this would be a great opportunity to do some co-planning to show them how to formulate those questions and then how to actually put them in the lesson plan, where to put them. These are those great tools that we can use, Webb's depth of knowledge, for example, to show them how to formulate questions that build from lower level recall to those higher level, application and evaluative type questions. This structure helps our coaching stay organized, and it helps it stay aligned with professional standards. And so this is what we're talking about when we're saying coaching for content instruction. Looking for that observed instructional practice, also being able to measure the student impact, connecting it to language in the rubric, and then providing some potential coaching strategies. So that's what we want to be looking for here. When we're mentoring, it's easy to jump from what we saw straight to advice. But the best coaching starts with evidence and reflection. First, describe what you saw without judgment. Instead of saying the questioning was weak, say, I noticed most of the questions were factual and had single correct answers. Second, analyze the student impact. Because the questions focused on recall, students didn't have many opportunities to explain their reasoning or to experience higher levels of critical thinking. Third, connect that evidence to the rubric language so you and your mentee are speaking the same professional language. And be patient here. You may have to spend some time actually clarifying and perhaps refining their understanding of what some of those terms are. So be patient with that and don't make any assumptions that they understand what our professional jargon is. Finally, focus on one high leverage move, one specific thing the teacher can try before your next visit. Too many goals can overwhelm a mentee. Small focused changes build confidence and capacity over time. The Louisiana Mentoring to Improve Content Instruction certification uses the four-step cycle: analyze, develop, implement, and evaluate. So if you did the classroom management portfolio before you did this one, it's the exact same process. You're going to go through the exact same process. During the analyze phase, mentors observe instruction and use evidence to pinpoint areas for growth. The focus is on teaching behaviors that impact student learning. In the develop phase, we collaborate with the mentee to set clear, specific goals and identify resources or strategies to support them. So this is the coaching plan. And we do want to fully develop that coaching plan here in the development phase. This is the roadmap for improvement. Next comes implement. This is where we put that plan into action. Over a couple of weeks, mentors and mentees work together through modeling, co-teaching if the occasion allows, feedback cycles. That's going to be perhaps some formal ones, some formal evaluations, as well as those informal pop-ins, and a time, of course, for conversation and reflection. Finally, the last phase is the evaluate portion. We look back on the coaching plan and ask, was it effective? Did the mentee grow in this instructional area? And can we justify this growth by looking at some sort of student learning outcomes that improved as a result of this instructional change? So this cycle ensures that mentoring is structured, intentional, and focused on a measurable impact. As mentors, our mindset can make or break the coaching relationship. Mentoring is not to be something that is judgmental. Our job isn't to rate, their performance. It's to support overall professional growth. And yes, that does mean that we use an evaluation instrument. But the purpose of it is not punitive. We do not have any say in, any bonus that they could get based on their professional performance. So our reason for using an evaluation instrument is because it allows us to measure that growth. That shift in mindset builds psychological safety for the mentee. And in this part of your mentoring, there should definitely be a shared trust there between you. This is the part where those interpersonal skills should be coming through, that supportive philosophy that you're developing as a mentor should be coming through to your mentee in the way that you're structuring those conversations, in the way that you're being consistent in your practices, in supporting the coaching, in your consistent development and responsiveness regarding resources and strategies, and sometimes just being that sounding board and listening ear, especially for aspiring educators or novice educators. So in this mode, we focus on progress, not on perfection. When teachers feel safe to take risks, just like our students, we are going to get better results. Teachers should feel safe to reflect honestly and to try new strategies. That's when real growth happens. Effective feedback is specific, it's supportive, and it's student-centered. So we're constantly tying it back to how does that impact the learners? What were the outcomes? Did you notice an improvement in engagement? How can you justify that that improvement was going on? What did you observe? What were the exit ticket? What did the exit tickets reveal about this instructional choice? And those sorts of conversations, constantly keeping it back to what's happening with our students. And don't forget to celebrate progress, recognizing even small changes in questioning, feedback, lesson design. It reinforces their confidence. And of course, that is going to be a huge motivator. So let's close by pulling all of this together. First, effective mentoring starts with clarity. We need to know what strong content instruction looks like and sounds like so we can help mentees recognize and replicate it. Second, our coaching should always link teacher actions to student outcomes. When teachers understand the why, they're more motivated to change the how. Third, the mentoring cycle gives us a clear structure: analyze, develop, implement, evaluate. So our support is ongoing, it's intentional, and it's data informed. Finally, when we anchor our coaching in rubric language and concrete evidence, we elevate the professionalism of the conversation and empower teachers to take ownership of their growth. Our end goal is simple: better teaching, deeper learning, and stronger outcomes for students. As you move through this module's materials, pay attention to refining your own understanding of what the components of effective instruction are. I also recommend that you take the time to really look at the LER and or, depending on which rubric you need to use, and we'll talk about this in the next module, the LAER, because those have some very clear what we call indicators, questioning, academic feedback, and it really refines your own language there. Additionally, I've provided some resources, some reading that you can jump into. Not only can these be used, to help your coaching, but you can also use them as resources with your mentee. Finally, you're going to want to make sure that you are looking over every portion of the module so that you can see if there's any housekeeping issues that you need to take care of. Have a great week, and we're about to jump into our next portfolio. You're going to do a great job.